So rule number one provides several resources to help you determine what a wonderful company is to you. The Toolbox is probably the best product that you're going to find. And the reason why is if anybody's ever spent any time looking at other financial products out there, any website that tries to provide financial information, most of these websites are basically focused on trying to be something for every kind of investor. But the difference with the Rule 1 Toolbox is it's focused on the Rule 1 method on what most people would refer to as value investing. And there's a very specific set of tools, and those tools are tailored to our method. It's much easier to navigate. It's a very logical step-by-step process that goes right into our meaning, moat management, and margin of safety methodology. So that's really key, is it's simple, focused, and tailored to exactly how Phil uses it to find his own investments. And that's really the most critical resource. Obviously, it's the experience that Phil brings to the table. Phil's been doing this for 40 years. He's developed an investing methodology, a checklist, techniques. He knows the right questions to ask, and he's built them into checklists and specific questions to answer that ultimately helps you get to those kinds of wonderful companies very quickly. And really, we want to try to get to the no as quickly as possible. So we don't spend any time on companies we're not capable of understanding or don't meet the 4Ms. And being able to have that direct education from Phil and his team is priceless. Over the last 8 or 9 years, I've literally used the Toolbox for every single investment I've made since then. A recent one that I would like to use as an example is Ulta Beauty, a company that we started looking at in approximately 2017. And it was one of these companies where we knew had all the anti-fragile characteristics. It had all the 4Ms, met all the 4Ms. Yeah, one of the first things we noticed about Ulta Beauty, which was really critical for us, is that they had a growing ROIC, return on invested capital. So this was a business that was getting returns that were growing steadily from 15%, I think all the way up to 36% over a 10-year window, which basically shows us that every dollar that this company invests, they're getting a huge return of at least 36%. I want to put my money with this company, right? This was a huge opportunity for us to get into a great company with great fundamentals. The other thing we loved about the business when we looked at the metrics was their growth rates were all steadily climbing at well over 15%. And it's actually quite hard to find companies that can grow at that pace for a consistent basis. And as we dug into the company, we understood that they actually haven't even become close to meeting their store count growth, right? They're still growing in the US, and they had plans to grow well into Canada and maybe internationally. And so we're looking at a business well into the next 10 years that's going to continue to grow their margins, free cash flows, return on invested capital, and give us an opportunity to own a great company for a very long time. It was a historically resilient business to inflation and recessions. And we went into the Toolbox and we started studying this company. And right away, all the numbers came up just beautifully in terms of growth and consistency and everything we like to see. It's a growing business, has a huge consumer base. And we started to look at this business and said, hey, we'd really like to own this at about $170 a share. I think at the time, it was running close to 300, 350, and there was no way anytime soon we were gonna touch it. And then I think approximately 2019, the market started to look disfavorably upon them, primarily because the market saw that they missed a couple earnings. And then Mary Dillon, the CEO, who's a wonderful CEO, understands the business really well, fully transparent, totally honest, just told the market that, hey, we're going through some temporary transition. We're going to have lower growth for the next couple of years. And the market, because they're very short-term focused, started to sell them off and brought us this business. It went all the way down to $125, which was like a miracle to us. We were like, wow, this is great. We wanted at 170, 125 is even better. So we started accumulating the business. And I think now it's run up all the way to $525, a threefold increase over the last 3 or 4 years. And this is a great example for us because a simple analysis on a great company using the Toolbox, we're able to find a number. We're actually able to buy it at a price lower than our margin of safety price. And ultimately, we own a company with a 3 or 4x return that has future prospects well beyond that. So in summary, for Ulta Beauty, ultimately, we found a company that had great Rule 1 numbers, return on invested capital, net income growth, revenue growth. It was all right there in front of us in the toolbox. We were able to see it very simply, very easily, be able to see the trends and where we then ultimately could project into the future. My top tip for a new investor analyzing a business is actually pretty simple. It's two things. It's focusing on businesses you're capable of understanding. This is really critical. In fact, one of the smartest guys in the world that I know is Charlie Munger. I follow his quotes pretty closely, and one of my favorite quotes from Charlie Munger is, "The dawning of wisdom is when you understand what you don't understand." And actually, this is what Phil excels at. He's an incredibly smart man, but he also knows the edges of his knowledge, and he's very humble and transparent about what he's capable of understanding and what he's not. And he stays very far away from businesses he doesn't understand. And when you see that from somebody that's been doing this for 40 years, that gives you confidence that you need to, or assurance that you need to do the same thing. And so that humility, ultimately, of not thinking you can understand every business out there is really critical. And that's my number one advice. Number two is education. The education, the opportunity to actually learn and apply it is what ultimately gives you the ability to actually execute and make this happen when it ultimately gives you an opportunity.